What is going down, legends, and welcome back to another video. It is glorious to see some green back on the charts. Lovely little recovery in process as we speak. Now, we are going to cover a few things, but the main reason for this video is the importance of refining entries. I've touched on it before, but it's been a while since I've delved into this. So let's start with Solana here. I posted this a few days ago. We spoke about, I say a few days ago, it was 2 days ago. We spoke about the fair value gap in our last video. I think price was somewhere around this region. And the area I highlighted was back here. Now, when price has made a move like this, it is very easy to get caught up in just aping in and thinking, right, we're going up forever, because those moves are powerful. But whenever something like that happens, I always like to look below market at where price could potentially come back to. Typically, it's always an area that was previous resistance, but just using this example here, it was a fair value gap. That is just simply when price absolutely explodes from an area, not without rhyme or reason, because obviously there was a reason it moved up here, but it just, you can just see it just leaves this huge air pocket of nothingness in its wake. So it's always important to look below market at where price can come back to. And the other day we did start coming back down here, and I said we will bounce here or I will delete this tweet. And if we go onto the Solana chart now, you can see we did get a bounce. We actually went slightly deeper, but not too much. I mean, if you'd have bought on that line, you're not going to be arguing with that entry, are you? And this is why it's important when we're looking for entries to look for areas below market that are likely to be revisited. Because if we go on to Bitcoin now and have a look on the hourly, say we took that exact same thesis, very similar move, fair value gap over here, and I always refine it to the last high that price made pre-break, which would have been the top of this wick here at $87,878. You can see once we got there, almost to the penny, beautiful entry. So just moving forward, when you're looking for entries, always look for an area of resistance that has been broken aggressively for price to gravitate back towards. Because I mean, even more recently, if we look at this area here, we had that impulse move higher, last high pre-break. See, we interacted with it here. Yes, we dipped a little bit lower, but consequently it marked a nice area to get in before a reversal came. So really start thinking about entries, particularly as we start moving through the bull run. Let's get back to the daily now and just go on for potential movements that are going to be coming in the coming days. Well, we have got this yearly open. You can see where it acted as resistance here, both here as well, and we are on our way back up to it. I'm personally of the opinion that this week is going to be a good week. I think there's going to be another rate cut on Wednesday, which should help our cause. But the area I'm focused on mainly is this area over here. Why? Not only is it the 100k mark, which is a key psychological area, it is also a key area where price action has unfolded before. We've got a last low pre-break here, this swing low here, last high pre-break here, and this little swing high. It marries up perfectly with here as well. Beyond that, previous support over here, which actually marks the 100k level. And if we zoom in, you can see the bottom of this wick before we then collapsed through that area. So how we're looking now is pretty good. As I say, this week the first thing to crack is this yearly open, before then a move to this 100k region. That's what I'm looking out for on Bitcoin. Solana, I know we've just covered that, but I did say in a tweet earlier, the next area I'm looking to crack is 137.89, which we have subsequently done. So very positive movements across the board. If we look at ETH now, ETH, you beautiful thing. What did I say as well about last high pre-breaks? The reason it's important to refine entries is so we see greater returns. Now, if you just look at this region here, even when we were all the way up here, I had my eye on this level, because when these areas go untested, the market does often like to come back to these regions and find a bit of support. Now, clearly, you can just box it off like this. So you could say, when we get around this region, I'll DCA or I'll just hit the bid. You can do that. But if you do that, you might end up buying a little bit higher, because clearly we don't know if we are going to get right down to the last high that price made before going on this run. So, which we actually did almost to the penny. So by all means find good areas to DCA, but personally I like to find areas where I can just hit the bid and then forget about it, and I like to try and get it at the best possible price. So here I had that 2,600 region marked out, 2643 there to be precise, but you can just see how that acted as a beautiful point of reference for price to then go and make a nice reversal. Areas above market, because what we can also do is look at areas to scale out. If you was looking for a quick scalp or in areas to take profits quickly, I like to look at areas of support that will then become resistance. So that would have been this area here, and I did actually have these areas marked out in a previous video for those that care to go and look, and you can see once we got back up there, clearly a little bit of resistance, and we sold off. The fact we're approaching it again to me spells bullishness. So I just want to get you thinking for looking at areas of support that can be nice areas to get out, and areas of resistance that can be nice areas to get in. This is how I like to think about the markets, and this is typically, if I'm doing a short-term trade, how I'll look to take profits and enter. But also, say you loaded up heavily on spot down here. Let's get me moved over here. And you was looking for an area to get out. I mean, that's a nice 20% move there, 19.59%. If you'd loaded up with size and you want to skim 20% off and bag some profits, there's nothing wrong with that. Personally, my core bets, I'm looking for much bigger targets. But as I say, it's just, especially when the market's been in such a drawdown and you know, there's uncertainty in the markets. If you want to grab 20% out of the market or something like that, there's nothing wrong with that at all. So it's just something to think about going forward, really. We're going to finish up with Sui. My baby Sui. It has been absolutely punished, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. But that is the risk we run. The newer the asset, the more downside they see. But inversely, typically the more upside they see as well. From the lows there, that put in a 35% move to the upside off of this beautiful double bottom. So yes, while we do suffer greater drawdown when things reverse, the upside is typically greater. So what am I looking at for Sui next? I don't know what my trading view, every time I click on one of the tools, I have to click off of it to get it back to the cursor, which I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but it's very irritating. If anyone can help on why it's doing that and how to stop it, please let me know. I digress. What am I looking at for SUI next? What I am looking for is a move back above this region, which is the 182 level. Why is that significant? Similar to what we've just spoke about, last low pre-break, previous swing low here. You can see where we got near that, it did act as a bit of resistance. You can see it became an inflection point from this little cluster over here before we had that larger sell-off. Now, what I'm looking at for SUI is a break back above here. I think if we can get back above here, that does set the stage for a nice move up to 220 to 230. Again, when we look at price above market, previous swing low here, disregarding the crime wick, and a little bit of support over here. Conversely, when we go bang off of this swing low here, you can see where it acted as perfect resistance before that larger sell-off. So we're not out of the woods just yet, but I am looking for a move to break here and then a push higher up to this region. If we can crack that, it's pretty much, I don't like to get too ahead of myself, but I mean, yeah, we've got this price action over here, but when we look to the left at this fucking air pocket here, it's almost fresh air back up to the $3 mark. So again, not worried about that too much for now. What I am focused on in the short term is getting back above 182, and then I'll be looking for this move up to here. That's me. That's the market for me personally. But all eyes, for all intensive purposes, are on Bitcoin at the minute, because if the king doesn't make its move, nothing else will. Hope you found this useful. Hope you've got something out of that. If you've got any questions, leave a comment. And in the meantime, trade safe, keep the faith, stay bullish. Cheers.